this is going to be a not so short and brief overview of what is in my tool bag for the motorbike. Right now I'm using a Carhartt tool roll. It's about 7 pounds, maybe less. There's a lot going on in there. I'm almost outgrowing this, but I think I need to shave off my necessity for certain tools rather than get something bigger. I started with the Maxpedition pack, which is great, but I quickly outgrew that. Went to the larger Maxpedition pouch and quickly outgrew that. These are still excellent tool bags, but maybe for smaller trips, I'm not sure. Instead, this is what I've used. This is what's great. It's super durable. I can treat this basically like a log of a tree and strap it to the bike as hard as I want, stick shit on top of it, lash shit to it. It's bulletproof. All right, let's open it. So the benefits of a tool roll are now evident. You can see everything at once. Everything's rolled out while still organized. All right, so up here I have, in the first pouch, I have a variety of bolts. Most of these were taken off the KLR, so I know they'll go back on the KLR. Some of these are bolts that KLRs are vibration masters, so some screws will work themselves out. So some of these screws are to replace potentially if those were to actually roll out, aka the subframe bolt. Only had to use this bag once when my what do you call it, foot peg screw went MIA mid-ride. Bunch of gloves, probably like 6-7 pairs in there. Self-explanatory on that. I think I'm overdoing it because there's lots of glove in there. In this pack, this pouch, I have medium strength thread lock and a variety of socket heads. I'll get to these more. Basically, these are ones that are smaller, or too small to fit on this job. All right, I'll get to that later. Small hex bolts for the lid of my panniers. A couple of them came loose, but this solved that trick, but I just can't get rid of these. It's the what if factor. All right. Everything goes back in its proper place. All right. Next is Damata USA. Wonderful, super sturdy pouches, zipper pouches. You can get a variety of different colors on the outside and the inside. I chose a bright color so I can see shit inside. Inside here, various zip ties. What do you call these? Butt connectors. Probably not the best use on a bike because they're not waterproof at all. But I also have these types of wire connectors, which once you clamp them down, they're fairly watertight. But if you use some heat shrink, then clamp them down, then heat that up with just like a lighter, any sort of heat source will do, that is waterproof. Valve stem remover. Haven't had to use that, luckily. Zip ties. This is a good trick. More bolts. Oh, the original seat bolts. I'm not sure I need those anymore. Super high strength magnet. When you're on the road or on the side of the trail and you're working on your bike, you can just throw your bolts on the magnet, keeping it in the bag, of course, and they're not likely to roll away. You can just sort of keep them organized. That's just OCD. A lot of what you'll see is based in low-grade OCD. All three of what I call essential small pliers: needle nose, snips, and I don't know, whatever you call these, the halfway between the dikes and the needle nose. Use those all the time. A pair of scissors. Not sure I need these, but they're small enough and the bag can take them. Standard pliers, small format for the bag. A driver with a, I think this is 3/4 inch? No, 1/4 inch? 1/8 inch? What the hell size is that? It's not 1/4 inch, it's the smaller size of the ratchets. The best thing about this, so I can stick any one of these different, not that bag. I can stick a, it mates with different socket heads. But the great thing about this, is 1/4 inch, is that allows me to take a standard 1/4 inch socket, made it with that. Now it's an extension. Now I can get into hard to reach places. But yeah, I can also stick screwdriver heads on there. I can stick a variety of things on there. Standard small format socket, socket wrench. Standard small screwdriver with reversible. I lost that bit, but I've only ever needed the one. Wrenches of various metric sizes. I've excluded some of the sizes because I don't think the bike needs them, or I've never had to use them. Every time I work on the bike, 100% of the time, when I work on the bike, I use these tools. Because on the side of the road, I'm not going to have the tools I get used to in the garage. I'm only going to have these, so I get used to these. The great thing about these wrenches is that ratcheting ability goes both ways. Hard to reach places, you can get in there and just work it along. Oh, that one's a little tight. I think I need to loosen that one up with some oil, degreaser. All right, anyway, so I have 12, 14, 17, 13, 13, 14, 14, 10, and 8. So now I made this to hold my sockets. 14, 13, 12, 11, and the almighty 10. It's just a simple long bolt that I screw on the top. That way I can keep all my sockets in one shaft without having them loose, rolling around, easier to misplace, like I just did there. Crescent wrench? I've always called these monkey wrenches. I don't know where the term came from, but monkey wrench? This is, I believe, the tool that came out of the KLR, one of the only tools from the KLR stock kit that I take with me. And it's for the, what is it? One's the spark plug. Yeah, I think it's just a spark plug. I'm thinking of the size bolt for the front wheel and the rear wheel. But I also use it as a roll of duct tape or Gorilla tape and electrical tape. There's probably like 10 feet or more of tape on this. That way I don't have to keep a whole fucking roll of tape. Small, compact flashlight. Vice grips for that third pair of hands, or third hand. A couple extra Allens. I'm not sure why these two are in there. I'm sure they fit a very specific part of the bike. I have since scrubbed that from my memory. But then I have my standard, metric Allen key. And that's it. And leaves and garbage and gunk from too many trips, or not enough trips, depending on how you look at it. So, and none of this has a dedicated home. I just put it back where it seems to fit. It is sort of important to put it all back in a very specific, I mean, you'll end up having to reorder things because it rolls up in a very specific way. Or at least when it rolls up, you want it to be as compact as possible. And if you don't put the tools in there in a very good sequence, you'll have fat tools on top of fat tools, and it rolls up in all lopsided and shit. So I just put things back where looks like I have room for them. None of the wrenches really go together. Like the small ones go in the small holes. All that shit was off center in the camera, wasn't it? Now this goes in the Tamada bag. That's what goes here. Where did the vice grips go? That's where they go. Or that's where they go now. Where can I put you? Where can I put you? I don't know how they sewed up these pockets because they don't seem to be very what do you call it, regular. All right, this goes in the Tamada bag, and the hardest part comes with the spaghetti-ness of these motherfuckers. All different sizes. I have used these actually. I had some wiring shake loose on me. I was able to put it all back up with these motherfuckers. Roll it in, push it in. All right, and it rolls up from this fat side, doesn't it? All right, so luckily I rolled it up, or I put things in the right holes enough that it's not fat on this side and skinny on this side. It's pretty evenly distributed. Make these super tight. There you go. I recommend. It's worked for me. Enjoy.